male voices hummed rhythmically in the back of her head as she hopped down the stone steps and walked off the quad. A men's chorus, a tune she had heard a long time ago as a child, a memory fragment. Her father's study, smelling of pipe smoke, as he handled his old books with more care than he ever handled people. She heard the song in there. It was a pleasing memory. It made her smile, but it warned of danger. The song was a warning. She cut across an alley to get to a winding pedestrian bridge that would take her to the apartment on the 19th ward. The chorus hummed in her head. What was it? The moon was high as it glistened over the Genesee River. Housing was cheap in the neighborhood on the other side of the river because it was supposed to be crime-ridden. It wasn't, but black people lived there. So never mind that it had the highest concentration of PhDs, residents containing PhDs in this city, its reputation was cemented into campus lore like a medieval superstition. All she had to do was look at the data to know better, but most people couldn't get rid of it that easily. She was proud of herself, finding an apartment that nice on a grad student salary. The first time living off campus since she left home. It was a kind of rhythmic chant. What was it? Then the high voice that sang over it was clear, like a bell, like a chime, so pure that she couldn't tell if it was male or female, a boy soprano or a girl tenor. She stumbled at the force of it.
Oh, where are you going to? Said the false night to the lovely little child upon the road.
Sang over the humming, strange words locking into place with the rhythmic chant as though it were a drum beat. The rat-a-tat that kept the soldiers walking in time. Her father's face. His old hide-covered books bound with red thread appeared before her. She had been young, and she was not supposed to be here when he read these things. He looked up, seeing her, and his eyes followed, because this too was a riddle, and to hear it was to be in mortal peril. She remembered the answer to the song, the setup, the premise that moved it forward, and the beautiful star voice sang the response to the call.
I am going to me school, said the wee boy, and still upon the road he stood.
The chorus in her head hummed, keeping time. The river was before her, the pedestrian bridge in front of her. Her father had gestured, and she had come forward. The door had closed behind her. She remembered the sound of the lock.
I'm so sorry,
He said, shaking his head. The riddles had just begun.
Oh, where are you going to? Said the false night to the lovely little child upon the road.
The purity of the voice, its cadence, she'd never heard anything like it. Beautiful, predatory. She wondered if this was the sound that sharks make when they sing. She stepped onto the bridge. Something was coming for her, waiting for a wrong answer.
I am going to me school, said the wee boy, and still upon the road he stood.
It was the right answer. She was a student, but she was coming from school, not going towards it. Did that matter? She had looked at her father, confused, frightened, but he had only put a finger to his lips and turned the page.
Forbidden knowledge is a kind of disease. It can be caught, contracted. It can lie dormant until conditions bring it out. It can be imprisoned, kept in books, like a virus in a test tube. We have not yet overcome ignorance so much as gained the truth we do not wish to know.
Oh, what is that upon your back? Said the false night to the lovely little child upon the road.
Her backpack containing her iPad with her textbooks loaded on it. Was it playing with her, this beautiful, sharp voice? Or did it really not know? Or was it a ritual, the way a defendant is asked to make a plea and a prisoner given a last meal?
At will it is with books, said the wee boy, and still upon the road he stood.
Books, yes, carrying books was the right answer, and again her life had answered the riddle correctly. She reached the peak of the bridge, halfway over the river. It gushed and roared in the dark. The preliminaries were over. She was at the point closest to the moon. Then the voice turned malicious.
Oh, I wish he were in yonder tree, said the false knight to the lovely little child upon the road.
Thunder clapped, the river began to rise. False knight. The false knight wanted to know how she would survive standing at this great height, all alone. What is the false knight? She'd asked her father, as he'd taken scented oil from a smoky decanter and rubbed the oil into her scalp.
You would not understand.
He said, "Oh, why does he want to hurt me?"
He is the lie that corrupts, the seduction we cling to, the star that leads astray, the fruits of the only original sin.
The devil? She'd asked. She felt his fingers tighten around her hair.
Do not understand.
He said roughly, still holding her tightly. Then his voice softened.
The devil is a superstition. And that word has two meanings. One, you already know, I'm sure. Superstition is something you are too old and too wise to believe in. But there is another hidden meaning to that word. For a superstition is also something you are not old and wise enough to understand. The devil is such a superstition. As you understand the false knight now, he's ridiculous to believe in. You'd be a fool to think of such things. But someday, my sweet child, if you meet him on the road, you may come to understand that everything mankind has built, we made so we would not have to answer his riddle.
A good ladder standing under me, said the wee boy, and still upon the road he stood.
There was no ladder, but she was standing on a bridge that spanned the river. Was this close enough?
We must take steps to protect you now. I hope you never understand.
Next time she saw his study, the books were gone. And he never opened them again. The wind blew. The wind howled. Her father had begun calling her "my little butterfly" from that day on because he feared she would be fragile when she finally flew away. She clung to the railing and wondered if a strong gust of wind could really throw her over the side into the river below.
Oh, I wish he were in yonder sea, said the false knight to the lovely little child upon the road.
Something had changed. Her father had protected her all these years, and campus had been a shelter from the world, but now she moved out of their power. Lightning cracked and thunder boomed. The wind pushed her chest into the railing, shoving her towards the water. She shouted at the wind, shouted at the thunder, "This is what is supposed to happen! I am a grown woman! No one can protect me now!" It was the wrong thing to say. The false knight had found her, ready or not.
Oh, I wish he were in yonder sea, said the false knight to the lovely little child upon the road.
Thunder crashed. The wind was too much. She would die if she stayed here at the top of the narrow bridge. She had to go forward, run the long dark blocks towards her home, or turn back towards the university, where it was bright and safe, but nothing was truly hers. "Will I be pretty?" she'd asked her father. And he'd said,
Yeah.
"Will I live a long time?" she'd asked.
I don't know.
He'd lead away. "Will I be strong?" she asked. He was silent.
Oh, I wish he were in yonder sea, said the false, false knight to the lovely little child upon the road.
Be careful.
He told her a long time ago. She didn't have the answer now. Didn't have the answer to the false knight's riddle that would keep her from falling into the ocean. She could only run forward into darkness, into her future, and hope that there was an escape on the other side.
Oh, I wish he were in yonder sea, said the false, false knight.
She turned. She ran. Ran back the way she came, towards the campus, towards the stone buildings, and away from the only home that was ever truly hers. Back towards the light, where she knew she'd be safe. The wind grasped for her, but she didn't look behind. The humming softened and the voice was gone. She would stay in well-lit places from now on, spending her life as an academic, and avoid the dark road and the uncertainty that the wisdom of age brings.